I'll start with you, Palgrave. Quite a difficult time, admittedly, for the families of the deceased. How do you envisage they deal with this type of grief?
Nana, good morning, and good morning to your listeners and viewers. And this is a very difficult moment. Obviously, it's not one anybody would be able to deal with for a very long time. And I mean, I know a few of the personalities very up close because of our involvement in student politics when we were relatively younger. Murtala Mohammed was involved in student politics. He was our ASU president, All African Students Union. And Omani Boama himself was NUC's president. And so we're involved actively as students at the University of Ghana, and they at their various universities. And it hit me very hard, really, really up close, and gave me a sense of how fleeting life is. And Murtala was very kind and generous to me when we were in government, because at the time I had just entered into public service and he was in opposition and had gone through government before, and so he was one of my go-to persons when we were either engaging in debates, and he would commend me where I do well and straighten me where he feels that the issues were difficult, and so I should tone down some of the approaches that I had. Omani Boama was such an excellent gentleman, a very bright medical doctor who had come into public service to serve his country, the Deputy National Security Coordinator, the young people who were flying the aeroplane. This is a very difficult moment for a country. I've been thinking it wasn't true, to be honest, until I started seeing that we needed to start laying wreaths at the Jubilee House, and there was the remembrance service over the weekend, and the president declared a 3-day national mourning. Then it started dawning that really this has happened. And when the Minister for Health brought the DNA samples over the weekend, and the burial was done yesterday, this is so sad. And I'm still in shock. If, for me as a normal citizen of Ghana, I'm in shock. You can imagine the families, their spouses, their children, nephew and nieces, and even parents. It's going to be a very difficult moment, and I would plead with everyone to be very circumspect. Obviously, John Dramani Mahama, the president, has asked that we try not to politicize the issue, and I can't agree with him less than that we should try and stay away from politicizing the issue and come united as a country to grieve and mourn. And once we are through the process, we need to ask ourselves some very hard questions as a country. Do we want to continue to have miners mine illegally? Do we want to continue to have the resources that God has blessed us with destroy our water bodies? I mean, I know that Murtala was an advocate on climate change and an advocate on clean water, which is why he was the Minister for Environment, Science and Technology. Do we want these issues to happen, especially seeing that it's taking the life of precious people? And so we must ask that question very well. The mandate is on the government of the day to ensure that some remedial measures are put in place. And some other thoughts in my mind are that could this have been avoided? Because the government has been in office for the past 8 months. I have been asking myself, I'm not too sure this is the first time that the Honorable Dr. Omani Boama has used the helicopter to travel. And from being a former government spokesperson on governance and security during the Kufuor government, I'm asking myself some very hard questions. And one of them is, are we under a threat as a nation? Are we under a threat? Because
What kind of threat?
Ghana is a sovereign country. Is someone trying to destabilize the sovereignty that we have? Is someone trying to, and I'm not trying to put blame on anybody, but I feel that something is happening which is beyond the country. And I'm trying to ask myself what security intelligence might have eluded the people who were on board the plane. And I've heard that there were other persons that were scheduled to be on the plane. And that's not really an issue that I want to go into. But I'm looking at the fact that the helicopter is carrying the Minister for Defense.
Yeah.
Is carrying the Deputy National Security Coordinator. And I mean, these are no small, mean persons who govern our security and intelligence. And I'm asking myself, what security intelligence might have eluded these people? Because I recall when we were in government, even as a spokesperson on governance and security, there were things that I knew as a spokesperson that other people did not know. And so clearly, as a Minister for Defense, as a Deputy National Security Coordinator, there are things that they know that other people do not know. So what security intelligence might have eluded the entire Ministry of Defense? What security intelligence might have eluded the entire national security? What security intelligence might have eluded the military intelligence itself?
Yeah.
Because I am guided by the fact that we are surrounded by countries that are going through terror attacks. I'm also guided by the fact that we are surrounded by countries that have been toppled over by military juntas, and they have military rule now. And so having those thoughts in my mind, I'm asking myself, it's someone wanting to destabilize our country. Because hitherto, imagine that the persons that we hear were supposed to be on the flight were on the flight. It means we have some big issues. And which is why I just don't want to focus on those other persons, but I'm looking at the dignitaries that were on board. A ruling government is in office, their vice chair is on board the flight, then Minister for Environment is on board the flight. The Deputy National Security Coordinator, who has just been appointed 2 weeks, is on board the flight. The Minister for Defense is on board the flight. I don't want to believe that it's just a normal crash.
You suspect foul play?
Well, I don't suspect foul play. I suspect that someone is trying to take our sovereignty away from us. And I don't know which country is responsible. But I would want, beyond the parliamentary probe into this, I would want us as a country to look at countries that we suspect will do this to us. And that I want to elevate the conversation beyond internal issues. I think that somebody is an enemy to Ghana. I think that somebody is an enemy to Ghana, because I cannot, in my wildest imagination, think that a Minister of Defense is on a helicopter, a Deputy National Security Coordinator. I mean, and clearly, you know, if you are involved in security, you can't just take down a whole Minister for Defense. You can't just take down a Deputy National Security Coordinator, provided that they were not on the flight and the persons we are aware were supposed to be on the flight. It meant that President John Dramani Mahama would have been on the flight, we were told. It meant that the chairman of the ruling party would have been on the flight. So what security intelligence might have eluded them? Which clearly for me comes to the statement that no security bridges were made, which meant that whatever anybody had attempted to do to carry out, they did go ahead to carry it out. Do you understand what I'm saying? Whatever anybody had thought or purported to do to carry out, they went ahead to carry out, not knowing the persons that were on board. Obviously, if they had a list of data of people that were on board, they assumed that those were the person on board, which is why I'm asking the critical question. Who is an enemy to Ghana? We need to ask that question. Yes, who is an enemy to Ghana? Who is wanting to put us in this sad state? We've enjoyed our sovereignty, we've enjoyed our peace, we've enjoyed our serenity, but we must be guided by these things.
You don't think if indeed it was an external attack, whoever is behind it would have confirmed the targets on the chopper?
No, this is not a movie.
No, indeed it's not. But I mean, with how you know, I mean, with the issues you're raising.
I don't. You see, I'll tell you something. Look, we've observed security protocols. It was for a reason why after the 9/11, the entire world changed our security protocols. The entire world changed security protocols primarily because the Twin Towers were bombed. Something eluded the United States of America on that very day. People had woken up, they had gone to work. Okay, something eluded them. That is why they had a crash. When they did the thorough investigation, they realized that it was a threat outside of the United States of America. So I'm asking the critical question, who is an enemy to Ghana? Which country is wanting us to go through such a very mournful moment? 8 people have lost their lives. Which country? Because I mean, that's why I said this helicopter, I'm very certain that the military has been using it continuously. They had confidence that it would take off and it would land. Something went off somewhere. And what happened? I mean, obviously, I'm sure maybe the cockpit will be able to, black box will be able to bring out all those issues. But I think that something happened that is not just a mere crash. Did somebody shoot the plane down? Was there a missile that was dropped? I'm asking myself various questions because I just don't want to accept that it was a mere crash.
So.